Hey all, Steve from GuitarNiche here. Well, thought I would tackle one of the, real problematic parts of your standard Stratocaster tremolo designs here, which is slop. It's no fun. It's a huge complaint by so many players, and I'll show you a few ways, tips, whatever, on how to address it, how to minimize it, how to live with it, if you would, right? By way of a little anecdote, maybe I'll explain this while I'm removing the bar. I just happened to come across, or in my previous office space / work environment, there was a guy who was a collector. He brought in Strat number 0014, and I believe it was 14. It was like wicked early, one of the few, one of the very first models, or production instruments, I should say. And there was like everybody in the office was basically a guitar player. We're passing this thing around, and we're all marveling at the engineering on this thing. The bar and the whole Trem system was beautiful. It was like just amazing. Like the bar just fluidly, fell around. There was no slop in it, and this is like decades vintage old. And it was like, holy cow, man. I'll never forget that. It was really, really cool. Anyway, back to the show. So, solutions for slop. One is you can take a piece of, this is just a spring out of a pen, and you can maybe cut that in half, to give an appropriate amount of compression to it, because like the entire length compressed, it's considerable. I mean, that's going to compress to a good half an inch or so, and you don't necessarily want to get all of that in there, because then your bar is going to sit too high, etc., etc. Now I'm not going to actually pop that in there, because I really don't have a whole lot of faith with it, and I'll explain why. Okay, it's a passable hack, if you would. On to plan B. Now this was something I tested a while back, and it was very disappointing. I got to tell you, it was very disappointing. Highly recommended, and really kind of failed. So these are genuine, supposedly, Fender springs, Trem springs you can get off of any major retailer. And so I thought, you know what, I got to get some of these. Like they're never in the original instruments, and and I had some before, and I ran out, and I just replaced them and never thought much of it. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to test this. So I put one in. There's the full measure of it right there. Okay, wonderful. So I popped one in, and I wound the bar up. And when I extracted it, because I needed to do this video and stuff, this is what came out. A very compressed spring. Sure, there's still a little bit of life left in that. And it did work. I'll guarantee, I'll give it that. But it got pretty stiff, Got quite stiff. Now, the issue is, are these genuine Fender, or are they copy or whatever? In this world right now, I mean, everything's being copied, but I got to take it at face value. That's the original deal. My point is, I was not overly impressed with these things. Moreover, most new instruments, Strats, will come with that little seal over the hole. I gotta say it's bullshit. It's just total bullshit. You should not have a situation where you're going to lose a small part and have to cover it up with a sticker. It's always going to get lost. Simple as that. Let's think about Gorilla. Guitar players, as intelligent as we like to think we are forgetful, we're human, We're gorillas. We stuff gets lost, right? And there's no way you're going to maintain that that tiny spring in there unless it's absolute vintage and you're going to, care for every little speck of dust that comes along with it on top of the instrument and stuff itself. Anyway, rant over. So those go away. Now, on to another hack, which is to wrap the end of the bar in plumber's tape, and it does work. I'll give you this. See, let's get that in the shot. This is like, I've had this forever. And it does, it does work. It does work. And this will work a few wraps around there and then pop that in there. It works like a charm. But if you're going to take the bar in and out, or if you're taking it out quite a bit, that stuff's going to shred and it's going to look ugly. You're going to have to deal with it. And it's temporary. At the end of the day, it's temporary. Now, on to the next one. The next two, fair warning, the next two solutions are destructive. And to be fair to the client, I'm not going to do it. But this is what I would do. I would take a fair size pair of side cutters like this and literally put a couple of distortions in the threads. Okay? This was actually there's a patent for that. Here's a little bit of absolute ridiculous trivia. There was a patent made for what's called a Hewlin screw, which was a screw that had a distortion in the threads that was used on railroad lines. And what it would do is, as it went in, because of that distortion on the threads, it would lock into the underlying threaded base plate. And the idea was to keep the rails and the whole situation and the rail ties more secure and solid, which is actually a bad idea because there has to be some give. Anyway, yeah, I had money invested in that, and that was, gone. Anyway, so we're not going to do that. It does work, but it also, after a while, it destroys the threads in the block. And this is a nice, big sustained block in there. This guitar is really kind of a freaky, cool animal. It's got all the best features of an American made, but it's like Mexican. That generation's all good. Okay, anyway, on to the next one. The next tweak, which again is destructive, is to take this threaded portion here and literally put it in a vise and literally give that, here, I'll use the other end here. Give it a little bend. So the threaded part, not up here, the threaded part has a little bend in it. Okay? And again, that's destructive. I don't recommend it unless you go ahead if you want to do it. But it does work, and it works surprisingly well. But you got to start you got to be really, really careful with that. But again, it's one of those things, like once you do it, it ain't coming back. And moreover, you're going to get some degradation in the threaded part of the sustain block too. So finally, we're on to one of my favorites. I would say overall the favorite solution, which is a little piece of surgical rubber. And they come with a lot of pickups, even like modern or vintage reissue and stuff like that. Little pieces of surgical rubber tubing. Whoa, ran away on me. Okay. And that, I'm just going to pop that in the hole. Now, before I commit to this, okay, and it will come out. I mean, you can dig it out. You can use a drill bit. You can use something with a little hook end on it. But because it's rubber, even like this has got a little bit of age on it, but it'll still work. And I'm going to pop that in there. Sorry, I'm working around the camera. I'm going to pop that in there and just get it down in the hole, down towards the bottom. The beauty of this is that it's non-destructive it's compression oriented. It doesn't fall out. I've heard of guys using like the end of pencil erasers and stuff like that. I mean, good gosh. I mean, anything that's the same principle should work. And once I start torquing this up, see, I feel the compression already. Look at that, eh? Now I'll give that a good once around. Oopsie. Ah, darn it. Sorry about that. Anyway, that's beauty solid. That works like a champ, you know? And if you put a couple pieces in, it will compress. They'll compress quite a bit, but you'll always have that little bit of rubberiness to them, you know? And this is remarkably simple and really works very, very, very well. I mean, I can even, slap that around. Not that I encourage violence on guitars. But anyway, that's that. My favorite fix. Bob's your uncle. And thanks for coming out. Read the description below. There's some great resources there. All this material and a bunch of other stuff is coming out soon on the greatest hits tips and tech tips and stuff like that. Like and subscribe. Play loud. Carry on. Have a great day. Love it. See ya.